Reading from the Holy Bible, chapter 70. The Prayer of Innocent Man. Listen, O God, to my plea for justice. Pay attention to my cry for help. Listen to my honest prayer. You will judge in my favor because you know what is right. You know my heart. You have come to me at night. You have examined me completely and found no evil desire in me. I speak no evil as others do. I have obeyed your command and have not followed path of violence. I have always wandered, always walked in your way, and have never strayed from it. I pray to you, O God, because you answer me. So turn to me and listen to my words. Reveal your wonderful love and save me. At your side, I am safe from my enemies. Protect me as you would your very eyes. Hide me in the shadows of your wings from the attacks of the wicked. Deadly enemies surround me, and they have no pity and speak proudly. They are round me now whenever I turn, watching for a chance to pull me down. They are like lions waiting for me, wanting to tear me to pieces. Come, Lord, oppose my enemies and defeat them. Save me from the wicked by your sword. Save me from those who in the life have all they want. Punish them with the sufferings you have stored up for them. May there be enough for their children and some left over for their children's children. But I will see you because I have done no wrong. And when I awake, your presence will fill me with joy. Amen.
Thanks, Arun, for offering Christian prayer. And I would like to welcome Khadija to offer prayer from Islam. Khadija, please unmute.
The first chapter from the Quran is the opening called Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. From chapter Yunus, verse 25. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. From chapter 5, verse 15 and 16. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد جاءكم من الله نور وكتاب مبين يهدي به الله من اتبع رضوانه سبل السلام ويخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور بإذنه ويهديهم إلى صراط مستقيم. From chapter 49, Al-Hujurat. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. From chapter 103, verse 1 to 3. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم. Thank you.
Thanks, Khadija. Arya, please.
I'm reading from Bhagavad Gita. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yanatmaivatmana jiyaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetat vaiva shatruvataha jitatmanah prashastasya paramatama samahitaha shitoshna sugadukkeshu tatha manapamanayotaha. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Thanks, Arya. Thank you for offering prayers from Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. So let's start our meeting with a welcome speech from Daniel William. Daniel is native of Kerala and he is currently studying in Loyola College, Rwanda. So Daniel, please.
Thank you, Krishna, for the introduction. Very warm evening to one and all. So let me begin my duty. So let me begin with the words of Mahatma Gandhi. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Ecopeace Teen Cafe was founded and its mission has been set to bring out this change in the many young hearts so that they will be able to make this world a more better place tomorrow. So let me move on into my duty of welcoming the honorable dignitaries present today for the inaugural ceremony of Ecopeace Global Summit. First of all, let me welcome the chief guest of today's event, Dr. Abdalla, who is the Professor Emeritus at University for Peace and Scholar in Residence at Rica College. He is a renowned expert in conflict resolution and also he is an ambassador of Interfaith Harmony. We proudly and wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, to this event. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much to all of you. And I have to say that I'm just so grateful to all the team who has masterminded this new initiative. And particularly, I would like to thank Grishma, who I had the pleasure of meeting 4 years ago at University for Peace. And I'm just so proud of seeing her actions and this new initiative that she established with her colleagues. It is only a reflection of her spirit that I felt and realized from the first day I met her. So may God bless all of you for the great work you are doing and for bringing people from different faiths together, especially with a focus on teens. I will speak for a few minutes and then we will open it maybe for some discussion. My name is Abdalla and I am originally from Egypt. And I lived in the US for the last 35 years. My work in the field of peace and conflict has taken me to many places all over the world. And I feel blessed that I had the opportunity to see and learn and feel humbled by the experiences of so many people I have met worldwide. My work has, I would say my entire life has been intertwined with the issues of interfaith and intra-faith. This has been just part of who I am from day one. Perhaps maybe I have to go back and share that. For example, I grew up in Cairo and I grew up in an apartment building. I mean, Cairo is full of those apartments, 10 apartments in one building, 20, whatever it is. I grew up in one apartment building, about 20 apartments. It was almost divided in half, Christians and Muslims. And that was just fascinating because from day one, I grew up with neighbors who belonged to different faiths. And I can tell you that there was not once in my entire life growing up there that a conflict happened between neighbors because of faith or religion. It was because of just typical neighborhood issues, but never because of faith. As a matter of fact, I think one big influence on me growing up was how many times our Christian neighbors came to support us. My father died when I was 15 years old. And I still remember how much they came and supported us during that time on every level. And I think that created who I am and established my identity until today. And then I was fortunate to discover this topic in my life and to work on it in different angles. I will use my presentation today to share some stories or examples of positive interfaith and intrafaith efforts that I have seen all over the world. And I will start actually from Rwanda. As you know, probably many of you, that of course, Rwanda sadly went through a terrible civil war and genocide in 1994. The fighting was happening between members of the Hutu community and of the Tutsi community. Very, very long story, and I don't think we have the time to go deeper in it. But what we know is, sadly, at one point in 1994, things escalated between the two groups, and the killing was based on identity. People were killing each other because you are Hutu or Tutsi. And in the middle of all this, of course, I mean, there was major interventions. Finally, things were calmed down after a few months, but not before 800,000 people were killed in Rwanda, and 200,000 were killed in neighboring Burundi. 1998, I was asked to go to do evaluation of a peace building program in Burundi. So I went there. It was my first time actually to that part of the world in Africa. And I remember when I arrived first in Rwanda for a couple of days before I go to Burundi, I took a taxi from the airport to the hotel. The taxi driver seemed, his name was Abdalla, like my last name, and he was wearing a white cap on his head, and he had a little beard. So all the signs indicated that he must be a Muslim person. And I did not know that there were Muslims in Rwanda or Burundi, so I was very curious. So I asked him, so are you Muslim? And he said, yes, I am. And I said, oh, so I didn't know that there are Muslims here. He said, yes, we have a few, I mean, minority. I said, so are you guys Hutus or Tutsi, or do you belong to a different ethnic group? And he said, no, we are Hutus and Tutsis. Some of us are Hutu, some are Tutsi. I said, okay, so what happened during the war? And in a very casual way, he surprised me by saying, no, we did not fight. I said, what do you mean? I mean, you are either Hutu or Tutsi, and everyone was killing everyone because of the ethnic background. He said, yes, but our imams, our leaders in the mosque, told us that as a Muslim community, we must refrain from participating in a war based on ethnicity or other identities. I thought that he's exaggerating. I said, are you serious? Yes. And I felt that, let me check this issue. So as a matter of fact, it became part of my side work while I'm doing evaluation of a peace building program, to talk to people in Burundi and Rwanda, in the government, in NGOs, international organizations, and asking them, do you know this phenomena that the Muslim community here did not participate in the war? Everyone confirmed yes, that they actually took a great position of not being part of this fighting, even though they had the ethnic element of their identity, and that they did this because their religious leaders told them that we should not be part of such a fighting. I talked to the imams and the muftis and the leaders in the community of the Muslim community. All of them confirmed the same issue. As a matter of fact, using the language of peace and conflict resolution, they actually played the role of peacekeepers. They were actually saving lives. They not only refrained from fighting, that was one thing, but in addition, they opened their homes, opened their mosques to save people who were being hunted and otherwise would have been killed. This amazing action is recognized until today in the two countries. And in all the ceremonies to commemorate the genocide, there is always a recognition of the role of the Muslim community in that country. I say this because it shows an example of how religion and faith can be used to establish peace, can be used to help us to refrain from violence. And of course, history is full of such examples of all different faiths. This is not only about Muslims, it is about Christians, Hindus, Jews, and all other groups, religious, Buddhists, of course, have the potential and have actually at times in history helped to save lives. However, the story of Rwanda and Burundi, I think it's really unique, very recent, and under-researched, and that is something to consider and to think about. And I hope that through initiatives like this one, we can find ways to explore that story at a deeper level and to explore similar stories in the Indian subcontinent, in Latin America, in Europe, in the United States, and everywhere else. So this was one of the stories that, as I mentioned before, intertwined with my life and shaped a lot of what I have been doing since then. It gives me a lot of confidence, actually, in what you can do based on faith and religion. Another story came actually from Nigeria. And perhaps many of you who are, I see people from URI and other organizations, may be, of course, familiar with the Imam and the pastor from Nigeria, Imam Eshafa and Pastor James. Both of them were one Christian, one Muslim, and each of them was leading some form of a militia, fighting the other religious group. And it was such a vicious fighting in the area they lived in Nigeria, to the point that in one of the fights that they had, the pastor, James, lost his arm actually in the fight. And that made him even more angry and upset with the Muslim community. And it was going back and forth between the two of them. However, at one point, and maybe this is the God's intervention, that both of them started to realize that we are getting nowhere fighting each other. And through the help and support of organizations that work on issues of interfaith like this one, they started to actually dialogue, started to make effort to understand each other. And in the process, they were able to really heal the wounds and to fall back on the true tenets of their own faith. That is about peace, like the beautiful words I heard from in the three prayers. And that made them actually become friends, and not only friends, it helped them to establish an organization that is working on mediating conflicts, that especially based on religious factors, but also other conflicts in their communities. Pastor James and Imam Shafa, they represent an excellent example of interfaith, not only dialogue, but interfaith action on the ground, and how it can actually save lives and contribute to the betterment of their communities. The two of them are very well recognized worldwide, and I'm grateful to the organizations that actually did research on this one, unlike what I mentioned about Rwanda and Burundi, and they actually put them in the limelight with excellent documentaries. And as a matter of fact, if you put in Google the Imam and the Pastor Nigeria, you'll find excellent documentaries that go into more details about how those two people transformed the relationship from being so hostile and negative and violent into something peaceful. The third example I would like to share actually is reflection more again. I go back to my own life, has been intertwined with such issues. I will share with you actually a PowerPoint. Okay, can you give me PowerPoint, give me share access, maybe a co-host?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can share.
And then you need to tell me, of course, when if I'm talking too much, you say stop, enough of this. And so we can have a space for people. But I think I'll talk for another maybe 10 minutes or 15 maximum. Okay. All right. Okay. One of the things I need to tell you about my background is before I got myself in the field of peace and conflict resolution, I was actually a public prosecutor in Egypt. And I worked first in the late 70s, early 80s in one of the districts of Cairo. But then September 1981, I was transferred to the Office of National Security, which dealt with issues of espionage, terrorism, and those kind of state crimes. As a prosecutor, and I joined, as I mentioned, in September 81. October 81, something major happened in Egypt. We had already been seeing violence that happening since 1970s into the mid 90s, and the rise of what we call violent extremism in the name of Islam. And then, of course, let me also clarify, violent extremism can happen in the name of, put any religion, instead of the word Islam, it exists. And non-religion, any ideology. And I think we are seeing now examples of violence in the name of white supremacy, in the violence in the name of other forms of identity. So violent extremism is not only reserved to religions, not only to Islam for sure, but I will give this as a case study or as an example. And it will have some positive outcomes, as we're going to see. So I joined that office in September 1981. And 1 month after, what happens is the president of Egypt, Anwar Sadat, in this picture, he gets assassinated. He gets killed by those people here during a military parade. And it was a shock. And then, of course, we quickly arrested those who committed those crimes. And it became clear that those who committed the crimes, they actually belonged to an organization called the Islamic Jihad. And that they, of course, their objective is to overthrow the government, restructure the society to be consistent with their own version of what Islam is about. So as a young prosecutor at that time, imagine from that day in October 1981, I'd done nothing as a prosecutor other than to investigate cases and to interview people who were implicated in that case. And this is a picture of myself with my colleagues who worked on that case at that time. I will not give you the difficult task of figuring out which one is me, but maybe we can take a quick second. If anyone want to guess in those people, can you tell which one is me? In 1980, that was about 84 or 85. Anyone want to guess?
Your picture is not there.
I'm sorry?
Your picture is not on the screen.
Oh, so you cannot see.
Yeah, the slide is not moving.
The slide is?
The slide is not moving. What we can say is late 1970s, mid 1990s.
Oh, so it didn't move. So let me stop and share again. And I my apology. I don't know why it is not moving the way it's supposed to. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
You can see it now. Okay. So this is a group of prosecutors who worked on that case at that time. And I'm just trying to see if anyone can figure out which one is me. That was almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see you. You're wearing glasses and you have a beautiful mustache on the right side.
This one?
Extreme right. Yeah. I mean,
this one?
Yeah. Yeah, the one,
right.
The one wearing a kind of a sweater inside of your long sleeve.
Yeah.
You're on a brown jacket.
All right.
Brown jacket.
Wow, excellent. You are very wrong. I apologize. Actually, I did have hair at one point, believe it or not. So actually, I am the third one. Actually, from the one you mentioned, I am the third one. In a dark blue, standing in the back. And anyway, that is beside the point. And but I always know that when I do this, people actually sometimes have difficulty figuring out. Point is, I was a young prosecutor working with those people, and we were addressing issues of violent extremism. Is now the slides moving or not moving?
No.
Yes,
Is
it's
it?
good.
Okay, good. And those are the people, the angry ones that we were dealing with. Those are people who are so committed to their religion in a way that they believe that using violence is the right thing to do. Of course, they don't see it as violence. They see it as justified use of force in order to establish what they believe from a religious perspective. And killing and destroying and hating other people becomes part of how they behave. Is it moving still? And this was the one who actually is a leader who killed Anwar Sadat directly. This is the current leader of Al-Qaeda. You probably heard his name, Ayman al-Zawahiri. And this is him here. He was one of the people we worked with. And this one here was the leader of one major region of Egypt. And he actually was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the crimes he committed at that time. His name is Nagah Ibrahim. Remember him because we'll come back to him later. Now, I want you to remember this image here of the anger. Those people are frustrated. They are upset. They believe they are the right ones. And they have all the justification coming from their religion about who they are and why they are the good people. They are the good Muslims. And what they are doing is justified. So we, of course, we put them in jail. Some of them were sentenced to life in prison and others for maybe less. However, what happened to my surprise is that in the late 1990s, early 2000, some of those very violent ones started to reflect actually on their doctrine, reflect on how did they justify in their mind and heart that killing and destroying is the right thing to do according to Islam. And as a matter of fact, they started to revise some of their interpretations out of necessity because they felt that we are not achieving the goal of raising the name of Islam. Actually, we're making things worse. At the same time, they started to realize that actually there are different interpretations that probably are more consistent with the message of peace that was mentioned very eloquently in the Muslim prayer earlier. As a result, they actually started to write books about how they believe that what they have done was wrong and how actually there is different interpretations that are more peaceful that they should have followed from the beginning. This phenomenon was amazing, and actually the government started to help them to write those books. They wrote 5 books, all of them about how to deconstruct violence in the name of Islam and to build about a peaceful approach. One of the leaders of those people actually was Nagah Ibrahim. That same one that I mentioned before was a leader of one of the regions. When I learned that story, I was so impressed. I got in touch with him. I was by then a former prosecutor. I went to the US, got my education in peace and conflict, became a professor of peace and conflict. He himself got out of prison after 25 years, and he started to be an advocate for peace and for connecting with everyone else, Muslim, Christian, Jew, anyone else, as long as we are talking about humanity and peace. So that's why I connected with him. And then as a matter of fact, I brought him to an intercontinental interfaith dialogue program that we call IDOV, Interfaith Dialogue on Violent Extremism. I had the honor to be one of the founders of this project when I was working in Ethiopia. We brought youth, as you can see here, from Africa, from Europe, and we brought with them Nagah Ibrahim as a representative of someone who was once violent in the name of religion, and then he transformed and repented and became an advocate of peace. We also brought someone from Sweden who's also a violent person in the name of white supremacy, and himself also transformed and became a voice of peace. The two of them came to address those young people who are committed to work through interfaith for the advancement of their societies and communities. This project, IDOV, has been growing since then, and I am honored to be working with them until today, and to see that they have expanded also not only for Africa and Europe, but they worked also in the Middle East and in South and Southeast Asia. And I hope that with Ecopeace Teen Cafe, we will be able to find ways to collaborate with such a project. All in all, I will say that interfaith dialogue, interfaith action is something I have seen as a proven method for establishing peace and sustainable peace, and it is doable. You could transform someone who was once violent, like those people. You can transform them into becoming this person, a person of peace who is willing to share his message with everyone else. This has been one of the highlights, definitely, of what I have done in my career. And as I mentioned before, for me, the issue of interfaith dialogue is something that I embrace, has been part of who I am from day one, since I was a child. And I was blessed to see experiences of interfaith dialogue in action being effective in Rwanda, in Nigeria, in Egypt, in this project in Ethiopia that we work with IDOL. And that's why I am a strong believer in what Ecopeace is trying to do. And I will always be happy to be of support to them. And I think I can stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor, for sharing your experience. So now the floor is open for reflection. So you are welcome to share your opinion and ask questions also. So please.
Thank you. And of course, I welcome any questions or comments from the audience.
James Sopu raised hand. So please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Abdalla. I didn't join early, but when I joined, I connected to the deep wisdom that is really being expressed through you. My name is James Ofo. I'm a peace builder. My humble ability is a facilitator of experiential education with face-to-face dialogue, with conflict transformation, transformative mediation, and social dialogue. For the past years, I have uncovered, indeed, the power of dialogue and the tremendous, what I may call miracle, that story narratives and deep listening and authentic communication from heart can really change the fabrics of mindset and really redirect the history. So I am so thrilled to hear your story. What really struck me is about what you narrated about the Muslims in Rwanda didn't participate in that genocide. I have never heard this before, because there is this wide notion about Muslims fanaticism, that Muslims are always in their DNA, the response, the reaction of violence as an approach for either social change, political change, cultural change, in any form of change, a Muslim or someone from the Islamic religion looks up to, or with his, either as an individual or as a group. So it's so interesting to note that religion could serve as a concept or a tool to bridge divides and also serve as a tool for peace initiative, just like the Muslims during the Rwanda, they refrained from being part of that ethnic-based violence that was an atrocity in the history that everyone knows. But seeing how I know that in their community as Muslims, there are Hutus and Tutsis that are part of their community. But the Hutus and Tutsis in that religious umbrella, in that Muslim community, refrain from seeing the other as an enemy. So that Muslim umbrella was a strong mechanism that really brought their hearts together to seeing the other as an enemy. So it's so interesting to see the methodology that we applied by those imams by using religion, being Muslim, not to join the war, but that Muslimship was a guarantee for safety. As many that we are Muslims, whether you are Hutu or Tutsi, they are safe. They were not hurt. So this is so interesting to see how Muslim, that religious practice, could serve as an avenue to really preserve life in an endemic environment of war. This is so striking, really, to learn from you today. Thank you for bringing this story to me. I will always point on this truth whenever I'm facilitating dialogue between Muslims and Christians, because in Ivory Coast, I have experienced, I've been a facilitator of interfaith dialogue experience. I think so many communities and so many cities in Ivory Coast, but I have never heard this story. I heard the story of Pastor James and the Imam in Nigeria. I have a good documentation about them in my laptop. I read about them, about how they use restorative structured dialogue as a process to really create that cohesion beyond religious barriers. So I want to say thank you for bringing this light onto me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. May I ask, where are you from, James? Where are you from?
I'm from Ivory Coast, but I have an origin from Nigeria.
Okay.
But born in Ivory Coast. So I grew up here in Ivory Coast. I'm part of Ivorians, but I have an origin. My parents are Nigerians from the Igbos. You know, the Igbos experienced a civil war in 1967 and 1970, the Biafran War. So in the experience of that hit, my parents migrated here because the president of this country received the Igbos heroes, Ojukwu in question, that gave us exile in Ivory Coast. So I was born after that in 1970. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much. And I see a comment from Samira on the chat about, and she is from Bosnia. Thank you so much for sharing, Samira. And she has a direct question about what is your advice for young people for preventing the vicious circle of violence using interfaith. She is worried that it seems that recently there have been some threats to peace after, of course, everyone worked so hard to bring some type of safety and security and relative peace to Bosnia-Herzegovina. I will say that, of course, I don't have the answers for everything, but we, of course, have a great group of people here who are committed to interfaith, and would like to see if anyone has any suggestions or ideas to share with Samira from Bosnia about what can be done by youth to prevent violence from recurring. I developed something in with all the Zoom stuff that we've been doing for the last 2 years. That if I pose a question like this in my workshops or anything of this nature, and I just count to 3, and if no one gives a response after 3, then forever hold your peace, and we can move to another topic. So I will count to 3, but I hope somebody can give any suggestions to Samira before I may have also some ideas for her. So 1, 2.
Yeah, I think
Here we go.
I want to jump. Yeah, let me jump in. I think in response to what youth could be done to refrain from violence, we see violence as a behavioral issue. Violence as a behavioral issue, and it has to do with a transformative education that is so important, because just like you showed us several pictures, images about people that believe that violence is the true way, justified way for change or to achieve anything. That is their mindset, and that really influences their behavior, that really create a context of violence and enemy among others, or war. So I think today it is so imperative to initiate that educational transformative pedagogy in the area of peace building, which is so important, because bringing youth under the umbrella of a new form of education for the transformation of self and the others, and build and learn how to really bring a transformation in the relational aspect of human change. And I see this as so important, because in that process, it brings what I call self-revolutionary shifts that really influence human relational context and creating a sustainable society that can really guarantee peace. So I think education is the framework that we need to really bring that change in the life of youth. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Any other ideas or thoughts? Yes, Mr. Ashwani Kumar. If you want to just unmute yourself. You are still muted.
It's okay now.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Sorry, sir. I'm thankful to you for these stories and your experience in this very meeting. And I'm thankful to Greshma ji to put on this very platform to learn the things from you regarding the peacemaking processes. I think the time will not be sufficient enough to talk to you regarding your experiences and 3 stories. I would like to have your number, and will be calling you on your WhatsApp number again to explain all my ideas and what I learned from this, because we are the victims of the 1947 riots at the independence of India,
yes,
with Pakistan and India. And my forefathers experienced many, many, many bad things about that. However, where they lived, they were Muslims, we were Hindus, we migrated from Pakistan. Similarly, the most of the Muslim friends and our brothers migrated to Pakistan. I still, when I speak on some platform, that then I say Pakistanis are real brothers of ours, and Bangladeshis are our first cousins. It is all a process which we can't stop. Having our ideas and our ethical values, we can't stop the riots, we can't stop the violence. Even then, we are trying for the peace. And your experiences regarding your job in your lifetime has given us a great learning to avoid all these, to learn to how to stop all these, and how to make friends which considers the people considers that we are forced, but they are
Mhm.
not. When they are guided or advised or just give opinion to sit together and solve the problem, actually there was not any problem. The place where we and my forefather lived for 500 years, and
Mhm.
in single day, in single day, we were just got out of that. And after 60 years, I went again to my village in Pakistan,
Mm.
and they loved me a lot. I can't
Oh.
explain that. I can't explain that. And it is a place where the Osama bin Laden was murdered or died.
Mhm.
It is just 15 to 20 kilometers from my house, from my village. And it was very dangerous to go there. But when I reached there and I remained there for half a day or 7 hours or 8 hours like that, but the people loved me. People of the third generation there, they
Mm.
explained the stories of my forefathers, my grandfather, my father, my great grandfather. How it is possible that a boy of 30 years or 25 years just explained regarding my forefathers' happenings and their doings and their social work and their love towards our Muslim friends after 40 years? They must have been told by their forefathers that this type of man was there in the village, and he was quite gentleman. He was a very
Mm.
honest man. He was like
Yes.
that. Huh. If the third generation of those people is just respecting you and loved you when you visit them in their house or our house, they respected me like anything. As I was still the part of that very village, and they gifted me with my water bottle from my well, from a well which my forefathers just dug out.
Mhm.
And these are the things which you got from the experiences. As you said, in
Excellent.
Egypt also, you just got the rights, and you just explained the story by the auto rickshaw wala or car driver or like that. They are the really good people.
Mhm.
No,
Yes.
no religious Granth or Quran or Granth Sahib or Hindu Vedas or anybody, anything told by them that we should fight, we should violence. But
Yes.
we are just going against them. And the
Yes.
people you just met in the jail, behind the bars, and you went there and you just got a dialogue with them, and tried to convince them that violence is not good.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
all you
Yes.
did is badly required at this juncture with the URI or the people who are working for the peace method or peace means. They are to do all these things which you did or you. I'm really thankful to you, and I'll request you and Greshma ji to put your phone number and
Yes, I put
email
my email,
address.
Mr. Kumar. I put my email now in the chat, and then of course through Grishma, we can
Right.
connect. So please write me, and I'll be more than interested in talking to you because let me surprise you here. I am actually a Dulabai.
Abdullah
You know
bhai.
that
Abdullah bhai.
expression, right? My wife
I
is from
hope
Bangladesh.
I,
My
I
wife,
I hope
so I
I
am.
hope I will not be bothering you to call and explaining that things.
No, my pleasure. And please email me and then we can connect on WhatsApp and other forms. Thank you,
It
Mr.
was
Kumar, so
it was
much.
our pleasure, and thanks to Greshma ji and all the team who just organized everything, and the people you like you were on interaction on this very platform. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
Thank you very
so
much.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Very good. I really appreciate those comments, of course. Anyone else would like to share? I see Mr. Faisal opened his mic. You want to say something, Mr. Faisal? Okay.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I able to? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Hello,
It's a
everyone.
little bit.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And yeah, and yes, go ahead. I think you froze now.
Okay. Okay, it's me, Zalias, and I'm from Lahore, Pakistan. And thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, who was sharing lovely experiences while visiting Pakistan. So from Pakistan are very hostile, welcoming people, and thank you so much. Uh, I would like to share my suggestions and ideas that how we can give a space, safe spaces to our youngsters to engage them for peace building processes. And one of the idea is that we need to give them a table for dialogue. And I guess people from different backgrounds, from different religions, from faiths, they can come on the table, or common table, or the neutral table. They can share their ideas. They can share their faith practices. So I think there are many different conflicts among different youth peace activists in Pakistan, and I'm representing my URICC over here, Peace of Pakistan. So I would like to share, I have a very good experience while working with interfaith youth in Pakistan. So I would suggest in the next meeting or next activities, I suggest that we should give a neutral platform to different youngsters, so they can come and they can share their different activities. Maybe sometime, as I don't know about my Hindu Hindu community, being Christian, I really want to know what are their religious practices, what are their celebrating interfaith. We celebrate interfaith Christmas, we celebrate interfaith Diwali, we celebrate interfaith Holi, we celebrate Eid Milan parties. So, while working, recently we celebrated one event from a religion Baha'i community. So there are different rituals and different religious events that we can gather, and we can share our just values. So I think there are some barriers and misconceptions and misunderstandings that create different conflicts among communities. So as we are working for youth, so I must say youth have very good potential. They have potential to tolerate one another. So because I know tolerance is one step closer to accepting others. So let's say in what capacity we are working, in any area we are working, we should their ideas to share their expressions. So with the freedom of expressions, I think we can understand the different feelings and different emotions from different people. So this is what I would like to share, that dialogue is the basic or the ultimate solution of clarity and peace building. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Faisal. And it is now exactly 1 minute, I guess, before then. So I turn it back to Grishma and her team. And I thank you so much for all you're doing.
Thank you so much, Professor, and thank you so much to all who share their valuable thoughts with us. And so before ending this session, I would like to read the soul of Ecopeace Teen Cafe, actually taken from the preamble of Earth Charter Principles. So when I traveled to Costa Rica, I got this idea of Ecopeace Teen Cafe to bring people from all around the world together and let's have dialogue, and then from dialogue to action. So I just want to read and then we can close this meeting. And We are once citizens of different nations and of one world in which the local and global are linked. Everyone shares responsibility for the present and future well-being of the human family and the larger living world. The spirit of human solidarity and kinship with all life is strengthened when we live with reverence for the gift of life and humility regarding the human place in nature. So thank you so much to all. Before leaving, I would like to call Arya to offer the thanks, and thank you so much, Professor. Arya, please.
Hello all. I'm really grateful to be here today, and I'm really thankful to Abdalla sir for actually it was more like a dialogue than a presentation or a talk, and it was really wonderful. And to all who have shared their thoughts and all who have participated as well, because as youths or as teens, we have never heard such stories where we only know about hatred or war, or if something goes bad, then you are going to war. So that is the message is being given again and again. But today it was a new chapter for all of us to have to look into things in a with a very different manner, and to instill peace in all, and to have a new hope for our lives. And I'm really thankful to everyone who's present here and who have taken part in our small initiative. I'm really thankful to all. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. And Arya, stop live stream.